Finally, my God, finally, the fans have come back to WWE weekly programmings. The fans were back in the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas last night for Friday Night Smackdown, the first weekly WWE show since the start of the pandemic with fans in attendance. They had WrestleMania with fans on two nights, but this was the first show. Obviously, WWE was a bit late to the party. AEW already started in May. Other sports, I think basically everything in the US was back to having fans, like the NBA. WWE probably waited a while, and they had probably invested in that horrible Thunderdome thing, which I could not stand. So, over the last year, I think I watched as little wrestling or WWE. I watched less WWE or wrestling in general than ever, because I could not stand the Thunderdome. It was preposterous. It was so fake. It was so sterile. A hospital was less sterile than the Thunderdome. But I was still excited to see fans coming back. So WWE, the relationship you have as a fan is often like an abusive relationship. You hate a lot that they do, but you can't really get away from it. So last year they really lost me for a while, around a year ago, with all this horrible Bray Wyatt cinematic bullshit, which was so obviously phony and incredibly fake, and it was like, even for wrestling standard, that was so preposterous, and also the quality of the special effects was so bad. Like the Undertaker, they always, like the apologists always come up with, oh, but the Undertaker and Kane did similar things 20 years ago. No, they did not something as stupid as that. And if they sometimes did, you also criticize that. But all this Bray Wyatt stuff was so incredibly bad. That swamp fight, and also that Rey Mysterio Seth Rollins program where he popped out the eyeball of Rey Mysterio, and it was obviously a ping pong ball that was used as a special effect. That was such horrible television that I really couldn't stand it anymore. So I'm not an AEW fan. At least they had some like employees as fans in attendance. But really, I got most of my wrestling fix over the last year by Jim Cornette and his podcast, The Drive-Thru and The Experience, which are obviously fantastic weekly podcasts. And I watched some old stuff on the WWE Network, or classic NWA wrestling, or even the modern day NWA. NWA and Ring of Honor, they still get it. They don't make fun of wrestling as AEW does, and they are not as fake and scripted as WWE. So, that said, I really had enough of WWE about a year ago, but I knew deep down inside that I would let them get away with it at some point. And of course, I watched the Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble is maybe the only show I really fully watched in that Thunderdome, because I could not stand all these Zoom call-like screens in the background, and the fake crowd noise, and the sterile atmosphere. This was so horrible, so bad. So I celebrated the end of the Thunderdome like my second birth. So this was like a birthday to me, and I couldn't wait for the return of the fans, even though I think this is still way too early. The pandemic is not over. The pandemic will probably there will be new waves of COVID cases around the world, and I wouldn't go to any event like this if you gave me $1,000, maybe $4,000, but I wouldn't go. I don't go to concerts. I'm not even not interested in it. I'm glad that I can see it on television, and it makes for a much better program with much better atmosphere. But I, in person, would never go to anything like that. Not to a football stadium, not to a party, not to a concert, and not to a WWE SmackDown episode, especially in Houston, Texas. Like, I've been in Houston, Texas. I know what I'm talking about. I was in Houston, Texas for WrestleMania 25 and Monday Night Raw and the Hall of Fame and all that, the whole 9 yards. So actually, out of the 2 times that I was in the I've been to the United States of America. I was in Houston. I know the city. But Texas, of all states, is not where I would go to a packed wrestling crowd. It was a sold-out show. And there was no social distancing. Barely anybody was wearing masks. Are these people vaccinated? Are these people getting tested? I highly doubt it. So, with that said, I would never go to something like that. Probably will not go to any event like that until the pandemic is officially ended, but that's just me. The program itself started with Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and yeah, he barely looks like himself anymore. He has lost the aura. He does not command the room anymore. He obviously, you can finally see Mother Nature and Father Time taking their toll on good old Vince. He has lost a lot of oomph and energy, but still, it's still Vince McMahon, and for all the stupid things he's done in his life, I still kind of have to respect the man for what, like, just as a man, because he's still fucking Vince McMahon, and you hear that music, you still pop. So I almost jumped out of my seat. So he said, "Where the hell have you been?" And that was it. So it was a nice moment. Then I have to say that huge video screen looked fantastic. That looked really cool. The entrances looked great with that thing in the back. Production-wise and visually, audio quality-wise, that was really, really fantastic. And I hope they keep on using that thing. I was happy when Michael Cole mentioned that this was the first time that Dominik Mysterio wrestled in front of fans. So I've been critical of Dominik. I recently posted on YouTube under a video that I think he still has the aura and the charisma of the small child that we saw at SummerSlam 2005. He always looks like every segment he's on looks like a hostage statement video. He looks scared, he looks terrified, he does not look comfortable. But here I think I was really happy for him to finally get that moment in front of fans, and like this touring stuff is probably what he needs to grow as a man and as a performer. So I'm happy for him that he finally gets to experience that, and maybe that will improve him. Like in the ring he's completely fine, but he still needs to get the necessary oomph and vim and vigor that you need in the wrestling business. So why is Edge a babyface again? Didn't Edge turn heel a few weeks ago? We are not on AEW where they claim that there are no heels and babyfaces in wrestling, which is like saying 1 + 1 is 3. So cheers to you, Cody. So we have heels and babyfaces, as every wrestling program should have. But why is Edge a babyface again? Did they ever explain that? I know he's the ultimate opportunist that takes any chance, but putting him together with these super babyfaces, the Mysterios, but he got a big pop. They fought against Roman Reigns and the Usos. And yeah, I have to admit I fell asleep then. It was too late. It was in the middle of the night, German time, but I rewatched it. I watched the rest this morning. But I dozed off a few times. But I still saw enough of the show to comment on it. I'm looking forward to the matches. And at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, I saw the Usos will take on the Mysterios in the kickoff show. And the Usos have quite the history of tremendous kickoff show matches. Like many years ago, I remember great. I think even at the same Money in the Bank pay-per-view event in July, they had tremendous matches against the likes of the Shield. I remember it was 2013 or so, and they had numerous good quality tag team championship matches at kickoff shows. So I'm really looking forward to that match. Rey Mysterio is still in tremendous shape for a man of his age. The Usos know what they're doing. You can and should criticize the fact that Jimmy Uso is still on television after all the shit he's been doing in his private life. But maybe they want to, I don't know, that's the way they want to help him to stay on television. He hopefully gets the professional help that he needs. And as a match, this is probably I expect this match to be tremendous, especially for a kickoff show. Edge versus Reigns is a fine main event for a B-level pay-per-view. It's still big enough to be exciting, something we've never seen one-on-one. It was not big enough for WrestleMania, so it made sense to add Daniel Bryan to the mix back then. All this spear versus spear stuff is not really exciting enough to have this match headline WrestleMania, but for a Money in the Bank pay-per-view event, this is big enough and quite an exciting match. So the Usos and Reigns won. Reigns probably is the MVP of this whole Thunderdome era. I watched a few of his segments and matches, even in the Thunderdome, and he really finally got into the groove as a heel with Alfred Hitchcock by his side, and the whole family storyline that has been going on for the past year. So Reigns is fantastic. He looks like a star, unlike the champion of that other promotion. So he looks like a star, and most importantly, he looks like a man. He looks like a movie star. So, and I hope we will get to see the match with The Rock at some point at WrestleMania, maybe 2022, 2023. So the Usos jumped the Mysterio's Edge, blah blah blah. Reigns broke the bar of a chair, and at the end, Edge put him in the crossface, put that SM-like thing in his mouth. So, probably already giving away that he will not do that at the pay-per-view. It's obvious that Reigns will defend the title, but maybe we'll see a cash-in. Maybe WWE has to fire out of all cylinders after the fans came back, so I expect big things. Maybe we'll see more returns on Sunday. And speaking of returns, we had a return. Sami Zayn, who's also pretty good and believable for all the scripted verbiage that they hand these people. I call them wrestlers, some of the wrestlers can deal with it better and can still somehow sound natural and speak the way real people speak. So Sami Zayn as an obnoxious heel, he kind of deals with the script that he obviously gets pretty well. He can draw good heat and be a complete prick. He's a completely obnoxious person. And then Finn Balor came back. Isn't he a heel too? Or at least a tweener on NXT? So he's back on the main roster. He's obviously one of the wrestlers that I enjoyed more on NXT than others, because he doesn't look like a small child. He's not the biggest guy, but he's in incredible physical condition. He probably doesn't have a single ounce of fat on his body, so he looks great. I didn't follow all the NXT shows. I think he turned into some kind of tweener thing at the end again. So he's back on the main roster, now fighting Sami Zayn. They wanted to have a surprise on the show, and I didn't care that much for it. But Finn Balor is a fine wrestler. Maybe he'll get a push this time, but difficult on the SmackDown roster. I think the Raw roster could have used him more. It was the surprise they wanted to have on the show. We got a video on Apollo Crews, and yeah, it's good that he finally has a gimmick, that is something you can hang your hat on, as Jim Ross would say. But why do you have somebody that always spoke clear English suddenly speak with a Nigerian accent? I know he's actually legitimately from Nigeria, but this is too phony, too goofy. We know the guy can speak perfect English. Why does he now speak in a Nigerian accent? And I know they explained it somehow, but it's too stupid. So, but we didn't actually see him on the SmackDown show. Then we got the tag team of the one returning team of people that got rid of their names. Tegan Nox lost her first name. Shotzi Blackheart lost their last name. Again, the obsession, somehow this weird fetish that everybody should only have one name, or most people should only have one name, continues. It kind of works better for tag teams when you say Nox and Shotzi, or Shotzi and Nox, even hard to pronounce. This sounds, for tag teams, it's more acceptable. Like you got Hawk and Animal, you got Axe and Smash, Edge and Christian, and so on. But generally, people, human beings, have first names and real names, unless you Chair or Sting. For some mysterious characters like Kane, it worked. Or sometimes you put the in front of the name. You had the Undertaker or the Rock. But I think from all these, out of all the former NXT wrestlers, nobody has profited from losing their first or last name. Big E Langston, Antonio Cesaro, Alexander Rusev. That all sounded better and looked less goofy. Sounded less goofy. Now you got Nox and Shotzi. Is Nox a name for a shy girl like that? Tegan and Shotzi would still sound better, but that's probably too close to Tegan and Sarah, even though Tegan Nox actually is lesbian herself. Anyway, they fought against Tamina and Natalya. Tamina, the only Islander in history that can work, together with Natalya. Why are they the tag team champions? It's okay. I think it's alright that Tamina, after all these years, gets a title for once, so to make sure that her resume at the end of her career doesn't look that embarrassing. I still don't get why she had to wrestle 2 extended matches on WrestleMania. But yeah, this was not a match to care about. So you had Selena Vega and Liv Morgan on commentary, which was distracting, but I'm glad to see Selena back. She's got oomph, she's got personality. Liv Morgan is a bit, she's effective in that role as like trailer park girl from New Jersey, which she actually is, so it's kind of believable. But I am not too excited about them. So Shotzi Blackheart is harder than a $2 pistol, but I think they need to cool her down a bit to make sure she doesn't break her fucking neck, because in almost every match she has severe botches or dangerous looking moves. In this match I didn't notice any, but like putting her in a tag team with another girl that also needs to be protected, like Tegan Nox, that makes sense somehow. They took them out of existing tag teams and storylines from NXT, so that has to be questioned. But I think both of these girls need to be protected, and working as a tag team might reduce their risks. Tegan Nox should know that her next leg injury would be the end of her career, and Shotzi needs to really be slowed down a bit, otherwise she'll break her neck and be in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. So putting them in a tag team here, they got the win. Small package, blah blah blah, was not too exciting. So Shotzi certainly has the oomph that you need on the main roster. Tegan Nox, a bit painfully shy and insecure for a professional wrestler, but you can get her over as a likable babyface, so why not? This was all okay. Not fantastic, but it was all okay. Also, we had Bianca Belair against Carmella. So the internet neckbeards, they hate Carmella because she's an attractive woman that uses exactly that as her gimmick. The entrance of Carmella I love. The music is great. The video is cool. She looks harder than the 7th level of hell. She is an okay worker in the ring, so I have no problem with her. Why do you hate her that much? All these modern wrestling fans, they only want to see goofy video game girls put into relevant positions, and every woman that dares to have a sexy gimmick gets shit on. I also don't see a problem with Eva Marie, the way she is used on Monday Night Raw, but that's another topic. Bianca Belair finally gets another match in front of fans as a champion. I like her. She's athletic, she's charismatic. Her whole shtick is too heelish for a babyface, in my opinion. Yes, a babyface can also be kind of cocky and slightly arrogant. Remember The Rock. but I think she's overdoing it. When I see a heel when I see an entrance like that, I see a heel. So, the match was not really catching my attention. After 11 minutes, the KOD finished it. Good for both. I think I like both girls, but this was still not too exciting. But it was a good match to have it on your television program. What got me more excited was Chad Gable and Otis, the Alpha Academy. That's a cool tag team name. Chad Gable finally is Chad Gable, and finally that fucker Otis is serious. He's not a goofy child anymore that behaves like no human being would ever behave on a bad comedy show. That's what we got in 2020. That was unbearable. So he rightfully lost the Money in the Bank contract that he originally won. Now he's serious. He shaved his beard off. He doesn't smile anymore. He doesn't laugh anymore. He is a shooter with amateur wrestling skills in real life. So you put him together with Chad. That's a tag team I can get behind. That's a tag team I really like. Finally, somebody is serious on this show. I really, really enjoy when people that used to be goofy become serious. I can identify with that. Otis, he's a huge man. Seeing him be serious and beat up Cesaro. I like Cesaro, obviously. I'm German, so I have to love Cesaro. I have to love Claudio. His entrance looks shitty with the stupid green light, I think. And also kind of, I don't want to say sad, but a bit disappointing to see him back in the deep mid-card again after that short program he had with Roman Reigns. I hope he'll get there again soon. So, also the match was not really barely a match. It ended after a minute by disqualification when Gable gave Cesaro a German suplex. Cesaro put the swing on Gable, but then Otis beat him up with the Vader Bomb. I wouldn't mind seeing them on the Money in the Bank show too. I like all these people can wrestle, can work, and good to finally see somebody be serious. So Alfred Hitchcock talked to Kayla about Roman Reigns, but then Big E came in. And speaking of people who should become serious, Big E is so obnoxious and goofy. And first I thought, and I wrote down, can this guy ever be serious? Do human beings behave like that? But then I thought, this guy probably is just like that in real life. He's one of those goofballs that couldn't be serious to, if they had to. But he's too obnoxious, too annoying. Imagine that guy with that body and those wrestling skills. Imagine him be serious. So, even back in the day when he started as a heel, I think he was already a goofy heel with Ziggler and AJ Lee. Please, get him rid of the New Day. Get him rid of that stupid entrance and that stupid gimmick and those stupid catchphrases. I know it's over, but I really can't. I can't deal with that anymore. So he talked shit to Paul Heyman, and then we had the low light of the show. I'm glad that Baron Corbin is back to being Baron Corbin. That he dropped that awful King gimmick. He looked like. Yeah, Jim Cornette always called him the Possum King because he looked like that. He looked like he was wearing a dead possum. So if he lost his crown to Shinsuke Nakamura for some reason, and I don't understand, why did he have to sell his house? Why did he lose his car? Why does his daughter now have to eat spaghetti out of a can instead of Ragu beef? Didn't he just lose his crown? Why does this mean that he needs $100,000 from the fans? And he set up a fake website that you can actually access on the internet, but when you go to that website it doesn't really work. I was afraid that they break kayfabe on that website, but thankfully they don't. The website just doesn't work. I don't get this. This was phony, unbelievable, not entertaining. So Shinsuke, yeah. I'm a fan of the King of the Ring tournament, but over the last years, or even over the last 10 years, the winner always got that stupid King gimmick, and it didn't work for anybody. It didn't work for Sheamus, it didn't work for Barrett, it didn't work for Corbin. The only one that kind of got away with that was Booker T, and even Booker T was better than King Booker. So now Shinsuke Nakamura is running around with the crown, but I think it's just an outfit for him. He doesn't really behave differently than he ever always did. Good to see Nakamura as a babyface again. So Kevin Owens somehow stunned Corbin, blah, blah, blah. Nobody gives a shit. Big E and Seth Rollins were in the four-way with Owens and Nakamura. And yeah, Owens, as usual, wears basketball shorts, has a huge neck beard, has a hairstyling as a teenage boy in the year 2001 had, which probably still is in his mind. He's still a teenage boy in the year 2001. So we know the guy can wrestle, we know the guy can talk, we know the guy is kind of smart. Why can't he be and look like a professional? He looks like he works for a gas station. Like, the tattoos certainly add to his look, but overall, he's just so, like, people told him that in the past and he thinks he knows better. But if he wants to be a superstar, then maybe look like a professional. So, Seth Rollins had a promo on Edge early on the program. I forgot about that. And yeah, Rollins is, he's not in that stupid Messiah gimmick anymore. And he's wearing outlandish suits. And he has that obnoxious laugh. He sounds like kind of the Joker. So that works as a heel better than that Messiah gimmick does. So he's kind of in a hybrid between his old gimmick and the Messiah gimmick, but not using that stupid entrance theme anymore, not using that stupid behavior anymore. He's kind of more of his old self again, and that works better for him because somebody with that voice is a heel, both on wrestling programs and in life. You can deal with that voice. If you hear that voice, you already want to... And you don't want to change the channel because he's an effective heel and you know what he can do in the ring. So he also won that match. I don't know, that match was no DQ match, seemingly. There were ladders all over the place. Owens did a huge elbow drop from the ladder to another babyface, Nakamura, which made no sense. But they probably wanted to pop the crowd, give that big bump through the announce table. On the first show back with fans, they wanted to have this big spot. And then Rollins stomped Big E into the ladder and won the match. Match was rather short and it was okay. So it was an okay, alright show. I enjoyed it probably more than I enjoyed any WWE programming over the last year, which I said I didn't watch much. I sometimes watched a few segments. I sometimes watched a few clips, which was usually always horrible and phony and stupid. This was an okay show. Wrestling looks more believable in front of real people. Wrestlers are not able to do this, or the production crew, they're not able to do the cinematic bullshit in front of real people, which makes everything less phony, less fake, and more believable, which is important. Wrestling should be believable during the wrestling show. I know WWE, they don't even like the word wrestling. They think they're Disney. They're a soap opera with headlocks, what they call themselves. But still, at the end of the day, they are still more. They make less fun out of their own profession than AEW does. They don't wink at the camera. They don't admit on camera that everything is phony and fake. They kind of present themselves in a professional and serious way, at least more than AEW. Still, WWE, with all that scripted verbiage and kind of, yeah. In the Thunderdome, there was the sterile environment of this fake crowd noise. Now, in front of real fans, it's less sterile. It's a livelier show. It's still too scripted and not lively, not authentic enough, but still, they don't make as much fun of their own profession as AEW does. So that's good. Still, certainly not a show that sets the world on fire, but I think this was quite enjoyable for a comeback. I'm excited to see Money in the Bank. Even though the Money in the Bank matches both look rotten. There are too many people in both matches that I don't like. 8 people per match is too much, but the other matches kind of make up for that. I'm excited for the tag team match. It should be a good one, even though it's on the kickoff show. But sometimes these matches are better on the kickoff show because they get more time on the kickoff show. Sometimes, not always. Edge versus Reigns should be good. And yeah, we'll see what the rest offers. I'll also watch Monday Night Raw on Monday. I expect much less of that because the 3-hour format is still horrible, absurd. I'll watch it. I think Raw will probably still be a rotten show, even with fans. SmackDown was the better of the two for quite a while now, as much like what I can tell from the reports and podcasts and the stuff I saw on YouTube. SmackDown was better, even in the Thunderdome. Now it was an acceptable show. I'm glad the fans are back, even though I wouldn't attend an event like that in person. So, I'm glad. And we'll see what happens at Money in the Bank. See you.